Let the meltdown begin. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network. Let's do this thing. I am Gabriel Morency. We got a kick-ass show lined up for you this evening. We got a double-header UFC. It starts off at 3:20 a.m. Eastern Time in Auckland, New Zealand this Friday night, and it's going to take us all the way through to probably about 1 in the morning from San Antonio, Texas, although fight fans, you will get a little bit of an afternoon break in between fight cards. Joey Odessa will join me from Costa Rica. We'll break down both cards, not in their entirety. We'll sort of cherry pick a couple of fights to go along with the main event. We got some wicked videos of the week this week. We've got an interesting theme this week. We're doing things a little bit different. That, you know, we often spend hours scouring the internet for the best videos out there that are fight related for our videos of the week segment, and so often we actually get the videos from Layzie.com, which is our favorite MMA website out there. And we always appreciate Layzie the Savage stepping up and joining us on the program from Layzie.com. Layzie, it's always a pleasure, my man. How you doing?
Pleasure is mine. Couldn't be better, my friend.
So, you know,
thanks for having me.
Last time you were on the show, we were on the radio, actually. We really had a good time. It was great having you on the program. So let's just play a rapid fire. We'll get right down to business. I know right now you're just coming from Ronda Rousey's sparring session. She's got Alexis Davis coming up. How's Ronda looking, man?
Ronda Rousey by knockout, round number 1. Bet the house on it.
By knockout, huh? So her striking and her stand-up's getting to the point where she's going to start dropping people.
It's amazing. She's dropping people and sparring left and right. You would not believe how amazing her hands are looking right now. I truly believe she could be a pro boxer at this very moment if she wanted to. It's insanity watching how good she is, you know, at this point. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a short night for Alexis Davis, in my opinion.
You know, Alexis Davis is a tough woman. I think she's deserved the opportunity to fight Ronda. There hasn't really, it doesn't seem to be much bad blood. You know, Ronda seems to need to have that chip on her shoulder, Layzie. You know, the animosity doesn't really seem to be there too much against Alexis Davis, though. Is this different, or do you think will it ramp up as the fight approaches? What I'm trying to ask, basically, does Ronda sort of have to dislike the opponent? Is it better for her if she's got to hate on for the other girl?
No, not at all. As a matter of fact, leading up to the fight with Liz Carmouche, there were some hilarious moments behind the scenes between Ronda and Liz. They were joking during the stare downs. I mean, they were practically like buddies hanging out, you know, behind the scenes of the photo shoots and things like that. But what the key to Ronda's, I think, success and how she keeps calm is she goes into every fight emotionless, regardless if she hates the girl like she does, you know, Miesha Tate, or if she's friends with her like she was Liz Carmouche. You know, none of that matters once that cage door shuts. At that point, it becomes a fight, and all that catty stuff leading up to the beginning and the hype is all out the door at that point. So, no, it's not going to make a difference. Alexis could bake her a nice apple pie and bring it over, and they'd be very cordial, but she's still going to smash her come, you know, July 5th.
I wouldn't mind if somebody bakes me a nice apple pie and brings it over. I would appreciate that as well. So, of course, Ronda comes from Strikeforce. You know, this happened right after we did the show last week, Layzie, but I liked your guys' take of it on Layzie.com as far as, is this the start of, you know, the old WWE, WCW wars, so to speak, with Scott Coker taking over right now for Bjorn Rebney in Bellator? Now, it seems to me that Rebney's popularity was pretty much beneath Bob Arum, Don King, and Dana White rolled into one. Nobody liked this guy. People accused him of being a dog killer. He's screwing over fighters, and there was definitely a negative. He was the black cloud over Bellator, so to speak. I think Bellator's got some decent fighters. There's some potential there. Viacom have deeper pockets than anybody else in the fight game, but they seem to just shoot themselves in the foot. I don't know if everything changes. It's not like Coker was the best promoter in the world when he was running Strikeforce, but it almost seems like addition through subtraction here that Rebney's gone. What was your take on Bjorn, and has there been a more hated promoter in recent memory than this guy, Layzie?
I don't know Bjorn personally, but given what every fighter that I know personally has said about him, they don't speak too highly of him, to say the least. And as far as Scott Coker not being the best promoter, I think he's a pretty damn good promoter, to be honest. Strikeforce will always be one of my favorite organizations ever. And what he did for that in Bay Area MMA was great, and he captured the attention of the UFC to where ultimately they wanted to buy up the organization. So, I think Scott's going to do a great job, and fighters have a great rapport with Scott. Everybody that I know that's ever worked with him, including Dana White, has really nothing bad to say about Scott. So, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So I just want to see another organization give the UFC some competition and see some exciting fights. And, at the end of the day, I think Scott Coker has proven that he can put on entertaining fight cards.
Do you like the tournament format? Do you think they should keep that, or do you think they should scrap it?
Oh, man. I kind of do like it, but I understand why it doesn't make sense, and I understand why it's not best for business. But if they do get rid of it, I kind of will miss it. Not that it compares to, Glory's tournament that was just on Saturday. I don't know if you guys are following the kickboxing, but that Glory 17 card was unbelievable, and Joe Schilling is the man. Just wanted to throw that out there. But
yeah, we've had Bazooka Joe on the show, actually. We had him in studio about a month ago. We look forward to getting him back in studio. We're big Glory fans here.
Yeah, that was an amazing show, man. Joe Schilling is a gangster. But, back to Bellator, I'm just excited to see what the future holds and see what Scott can do for it, and I'm looking forward to some exciting fights. Yeah,
and it's funny because fight fans always bitch. They bitch about everything all the time. We talked about this with, about your website as well, right? People are going to bitch for the sake of bitching no matter what. And then people always complain, the fighters don't make enough money. The UFC's a dictatorship, and I wish there was a viable other option. But whenever there is another option, people mock it, and they suck. Bellator sucks, and look at the World Series of Fighting. People always find the negatives in everything instead of looking at the positive and going, well, you know what? We need some options, and not out of hatred for the UFC, but if there's only one company, it's not good for anybody. And it seems to me right now, not that the UFC is vulnerable to go out of business or anything like that, but it's not like they've got a ton of buzz going on. UFC 174, there are reports that they sold less than 100,000 pay-per-views. The Ultimate Fighter, the TV show, with BJ Penn and Frankie Edgar is a freaking train wreck. Nobody's watching, nobody cares. It seems like right now there is a little bit of space for Viacom to do something if they have the willpower to do it.
Yeah, I agree. I think MMA is definitely missing something. I think I know what that key ingredient is, and I want to go ahead and say that Nick Diaz definitely needs to return to mixed martial arts to save the day, because we are lacking fighters like Nick Diaz. And if they can't take care of Nate Diaz, we're going to lose him as well. And you're right, the Ultimate Fighter show is flopping. No one's watching it. I don't think I've watched in like 10 seasons. It's been, the same format. They need to switch it up. And as far as the success of Bellator, I think that's up to the fighters and how they want to perform and, what it means to put on a show. Because you can go out there and lay on top of a guy for, 3 rounds and try and squeak out a decision if that's how you want to earn your paycheck. But, it's the Eddie Alvarez and Mike Chandler type wars and that are going to really put Bellator on the map. So like I said, at the end of the day, it comes down to the fighters, and in order to have the good fighters fighting for your promotion, you have to take care of them. And I hope Scott can wheel in some talent and throw on some fight cards. And, you're always going to get your naysayers and your doubters. The Red Sox fans are going to hate the Yankees, and the Yankees are going to hate the Red Sox fans. So it's just the way it works sometimes. But they're going to be a fan of their team. And I think Bellator will develop a fan base if they keep, putting on shows like Chandler Alvarez and having guys like that fight. Well, I'm over I was surprised to see Tito Ortiz beat Shlemenko that easily, to be honest. But it's not something I was dying to see. And, Chandler Alvarez was really the fight that I wanted to see. And they need more athletes like that, more, showstoppers and entertainers if they want to try and compete with the UFC. But even right now, the UFC needs some of those as well. I feel like you got all your superstars gone. George is on the sideline. Nick's semi-retired. Nate's not fighting because he's unhappy with his contract. I mean, there's a few, and then you got Ronda fighting 4 times a year, who's the UFC's biggest star right now, and she's just a workhorse tearing through people and fighting more actively than any other UFC champion ever is, or ever has, I want to say. I think this will be her 4th time within a year span. I think that's the most title defenses ever for a UFC champion in 1 year span, so it's pretty impressive. But
that's a great point.
Bellator, you need people like that.
It's a great point that you raised. We got to wrap it up, but it's true. They can only push Ronda out there so much, and Ronda wants to make the money as much as she can now. I totally get that. They lose another guy who I'm not a huge fan of, in Chael Sonnen, but he was a draw. He made money for them. And I hope we see the Diaz's brother. And speaking of the Ultimate Fighter, I mean, the show just sucks, but nothing sucks with the Diaz brothers. So I'm looking forward to seeing the Melendez, Team Melendez, on the Ultimate Fighter. Layzie, it's always a pleasure, my man. Thanks a lot for taking the time to be with us.
Thanks, brother. Thanks for having me. I'll talk to you guys next time.
There's Layzie the Savage from MiddleEasy.com with us, and our videos of the week are actually Middle Easy themed this week, but they're real good, and real different this week. Speaking of different, Joey Odessa is going to join us coming up next from Costa Rica. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. Thanks to Layzie the Savage for kicking it with us from MiddleEasy.com. Let's send it to Costa Rica, where the Costa Rican soccer team, obviously very hot. They won their group. They advance into the quarterfinals as far as the World Cup is concerned. And Joey Odessa has been betting soccer. He's a fight guy, but Joey likes money, and Joey and Joey Jr. have been killing it in the World Cup. They're so freaking hot, they nearly set their house on fire, as Joey Odessa had a little incident at the household earlier today, Joey. And I got to be honest, Joey, you're talking as if though, you're shocked that you had a fire at the house. And I've been in like 4 or 5 fires in the last 5 years, I think. Fires are commonplace, Joey.
This was my first. I've had the floods, but not the fires. But, I mean, I've been on fires once on. I tell you what, my kid's on fire. He's been picking winners like I just never seen. I had to jump on board, and I never watched a full soccer game in my life.
That's unbelievable. I think he's like 25-5 or something like that. He's going to take your job. We'll see. We should get the kid to start picking some fights, but then the wife might start getting angry. I know she already thinks we're a bad influence as it is, getting the 10-year-old to handicap games for us. But, hey, he's like there's a movie On the Right Track with Gary Coleman, the guy from Different Strokes. The movie was made in the late 70s, early 80s. Gary Coleman was an orphan who was living in the train station, living in a locker, but the kid could pick winners at the track and got him out of the locker. Your kid might have a skill here, Joey, so I'm going to ask you, and then we'll find out who the kid likes in the Marquardt Tahuna fight, Joey. And we talked about this a little bit last week. The number's pretty much the same. Tahuna's a -220 favorite. Marquardt's +185. Marquardt's lost 3 fights in a row, but with even that being stated, I don't trust Tahuna laying the price.
Nate hasn't been too good to me lately, but, I don't know what it's going to do for him. He says he found God, or God told him to go back to 185. If he's got faith in it and he believes in it, we talk about it. I mean, you got to vision it to make it happen. And, if he's not completely shot, plus he's coming off those losses, I mean, this is pretty, I don't like to use the analogies and things like that, or, this guy needs to win, or, because they all need to win before they get cut, but he's got a good shot here.
We got your boy Rosholt on the card here, Joey. We know he's got a chin. We've seen him eat some shots. Obviously, the conditioning isn't there. I'm a little bit surprised about this number, seeing Rosholt at -150, Joey, only because it's in Pelele's backyard.
The thing with Rosholt is, I mean, he's a great wrestler. I mean, but the wrestling cardio, we see it all the time, doesn't always translate over into the MMA cardio when you got punches getting thrown at you. And I mean, the 2 brothers, I love them to death, Team Takedown, but they never saw a punch. They didn't want, they didn't want to eat for dinner. I mean, they get hit and they get hit, but I think that Rosholt's back on track. I think a relatively low number. You take away that one knockout loss, I guess, that he's got, and I think he'd be a much higher favorite. You know, I think he wins the fight.
Really? Going overseas, too, huh? You're always concerned about that normally. Now, obviously, weight cut's not an issue, so that's an interesting angle there with this fight, but I just don't like him as an underdog. I don't think he's that good, Joey. He's tough. The dude's lumberjack tough. I get it, but I don't think he's that great. Not that Sal's a great fighter either. It's kind of a crappy card, let's be honest. But an intriguing fight here is Hioki and Oliveira, Joey. And I look at Oliveira, the guy's only 24 years old, and I think the UFC did this kid wrong, Joey. You always talk about how companies sort of need to protect their fighters, not get a kid beat, etc., or not destroy a kid. He's only 24 years old. He's fought in Frankie Edgar, Cub Swanson, Donald Cerrone, Jim Miller. They really threw this kid to the wolves early, Joey, and Oliveira. So I think he's better than his record indicates. And you often say this, Joey. Let's not look at a guy of who he's beaten, but let's look at who he's lost to.
True. He's lost to wrestlers, though. I mean, I guess the Nick Lenz fight, that was, a no contest. But, I mean, Jim Miller, wrestler, Cerrone, I mean, he's capable of beating anybody on any given day. He's tough as nails. Cub, another KO loss. But the one that stood out to me was, Miller did catch him in a knee bar, and he's going in here with Hioki, who is Hioki's a pretty good on the ground. I mean, I think it's a pretty decent matchup. I like Hioki here.
You know what, Joey? Sounds like we're on a different side of a couple of these fights this week. I might have to take the old fight pass then. I don't like fading you. So we only got a minute left here, Joey. So it's 3:20 in the morning Eastern time on Friday night. That's the first fight off the board. 3:20 in the morning Friday night. And then Saturday night's just a regular, Fox type of deal here. 7:30 is the first fight. Cub Swanson's -240. Everybody's talking about Stevens here, Joey. And, he's 3-0 since he's come down in weight. Dennis Seaver came down in weight too, and Seaver's a freaking tank, and Cub Swanson was able to handle him. I think Stevens is a little bit too one-dimensional. I like Cub to win this fight. I don't like the line so much, and I like Ricardo Lamas, -195 against Hakron Diaz, Joey.
Yeah, that's the fight I'm talking about too. I mean, he's got another guy that's got a really big record there, and Diaz. I think I agree with you on Cub, though. I think the Cub will get it done. I mean, Stevens is tough, but Stevens is, he's been overachieving lately. I mean, tough as nails. He does have the 9 losses on his record. I think Cub will get it done. But, again, we get these guys. I mean, it happened last week in the World Series of Fighting. So there's always that big parlay buster, the one that looks too easy. I tell you what, I like Andrew Craig.
Andrew Craig, all right. I was going to ask you for the under-the-radar sleeper pick. So Andrew Craig says Joey Odessa. And that's the one thing, too, I'm worried about Joey with Cub. And he just did an interview, and I hate that. And, we had him on, and I knew, but you don't want to put the guy in the spot where he says this, that he didn't want to fight Stevens. It was, he wants to fight for the championship, etc. We've seen this time and time again in the fight game, Joe. I don't care if it's boxing or fighting. When a fighter's not thinking about his opponent and he's thinking about other guys, he always loses. As you mentioned, the Karkanian guy here the other night in the World Series of Fighting. Guy's running his mouth about how he can beat everybody in the UFC. He got his ass handed to him in the World Series of Fighting.
Yeah, I mean, he had the arm bar there, and after that, he just fell apart. It was kind of shocking, and I believe he was, wasn't he big? He was the biggest favorite on the card.
Not the biggest favorite on the card. I think Aguilar at -600 might have been.
Excuse me, yeah.
Yeah, but he was like right up there, -450, 500, and yeah, that guy was pretty tough with Askren in his corner as well. I was pretty frustrated by like that. My parlay did get busted, but Joey, we got to wrap it up. You want Odessa and me talking about all the prelims and everything else in between? Tune in to MMA Meltdown on SiriusXM channel 167, Tuesday nights at 10 o'clock. We follow Corey Erdman, who breaks down the boxing scene for an hour before us. Always a pleasure, Joey. Thanks for the time. We'll see you on the radio.
My pleasure. Can we give a shout-out to those women's fighters? Because I tell you what, they leave it in there like if the men should learn something from them. I mean, what a beating that woman took.
Joey Odessa. I thought he was going to give a shout-out to the firefighters of Costa Rica or something like that. But no, I guess not. Hey, always good, Joey.
Okay, have a good one, Jay.
Joey likes women fighters. Well, Joey's in luck tonight. Stay tuned for our videos of the week. MMA Meltdown on the Fight Network continues. Thanks to Joey Odessa for joining us, as well as Layzie the Savage from MiddleEasy.com. And MiddleEasy, they always have great videos. This week, they've got a great video as Rin Nakai. She's actually fighting Miesha Tate. She's 16-0. She's a Japanese fighter. She's never lost before, and she's an internet sensation in Japan. And I think she could be an internet sensation here in North America as well. Really, let's cut the foreplay, so to speak. And there's nothing for me to say besides, holy crap, check these videos out. I gotta start spending more time at the gym. I was unaware. Really, this isn't just some sort of weird Japanese fetish type video. She's a fighter. She's fighting Miesha Tate, so that's her working out on a leather ball. Let's check out how she gets her back so ripped. I don't even know what to say. I don't even know what to say besides bravo. The MiddleEasy have her top 10 videos. We just had to, we don't have time for all 10. This one is actually a little bit weird. This one's real weird. I don't really understand the gist of it besides she's naked, there's a banana, and 2 beetles. Who's this girl's trainer? Seriously, who's this girl's trainer? Steve Hirsch from Vivid Video? Like, this is her, this is her in training, preparing for Miesha Tate? This is some bizarre stuff, but hey, Dana, what took you so long to get this chick to America? Great stuff. MMA Meltdown continues. All right, we got to be quick on our way out here. Thanks to Layzie the Savage and Joey Odessa for joining us. Shout out to everybody here at the Fight Network, including Sergeant Slaughter, who helps us out with the videos at times. This guy's not disgusted by anything. I mean, hell, we showed somebody plummet to their death in the escalator, the elevator at that time. Yet, some reason Sarge's a little put off by Rin Nakai's videos. Not sure why. I thought they were great. Wish her the best of luck against Miesha Tate. Congratulations to Joseph Valentini. Other than that, you're on your own. Later.